Our recap.
Ooh, what's that?
I said, "We'll say it's a recap of our thoughts of."
Recap of our thoughts on House of the
Yeah,
Dragon season 1 with some random
tangents.
insomnia induced questions.
Right.
So I am recording now, so we can start. Did you
I did see
see?
it. I
Okay.
saw it. It's very nice.
I thought it would distract from my Band-Aid face.
Oh,
My Valerian steel.
right?
I mean, I
No,
don't the finest
I don't
Valerian
even notice
steel that
it.
you can buy on Amazon.
What is Valerian still even?
This obvious this
Yeah.
is real. This is real. So yeah, so it's recording now, so we can go ahead and get started. Our thoughts, like kind of a big overall recap on season 1 from, I would say I'm like a hardcore book reader, fan, of of the whole thing.
Game
And
of
then
Thrones, right?
Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire, Fire and Blood. I read Fire and the Blood, I think. I read Fire and Blood. I bought it when it first came out, and I read it and I liked it. And then I read it when I found out that they were going forward with House of the Dragon. And then I read it like in the summer right before House of the Dragon came on. And then I also at some point in between there just read the part of it that's like this time covers, which is really not a huge part of the book. So they have a lot of leeway, I guess, to for the adaptation, because it's not written as fact. It's written as like different people, like what different people thought about it, and their differing accounts of things that happened. So anyways, you can start. What was your overall thought of everything? I think you did watch all of Game of Thrones though,
I did.
right?
I did. Yes.
Okay. So probably going into it like most people, with like Game of Thrones having ended on like a
Downward spiral. Yeah.
downward spiral.
Yeah. I I was really hesitant about it initially, and I only started watching it because you talked about it one time, and I was like, all right, okay. Guess because I'm watching Doctor Who and I have HBO Max, I guess I'll watch it. you know. And I tend to give TV shows like a 4 episode minimum, but this only had 6, right? So, or
10.
is it 10?
10.
It had 10. Oh, it felt like 6. So
Well,
that's my other
it
complaint.
was 6 with the young, or was it 5? It was split because it was like
Okay.
5 with the younger actors. It felt a little weird because of that. But we can get into that later.
Right, right. Yeah, I was just really hesitant about it. Like it just felt like I don't know if the writers are going to be the same, if we're going to go down the same spiral where like now Rhaenyra is a crazy person and she's going to take over the world and it's going to be awful and like it comes out of nowhere. And it overall the series did feel really rushed. I wish that we had 20 episodes instead of 10 to develop the characters and spend more time with certain characters being younger, like Rhaenyra and Allison and the kids, before we aged them up so quickly. But was it a bad entry into the first foray of House of Dragon? No, I think it was pretty
I
good.
have thoughts, because first of all, I went into it knowing that it was like not the same people. The
Right.
Dan and Dave, the guys from Game of Thrones, were like way out, way out. Like they ended Game
Because
of
they were going to do
Thrones.
Star Wars or something, right?
They were
Is that what?
supposed to do Star Wars, and then I think they
Okay.
weren't wanted for that after the dumpster fire that was Game of Thrones. I don't know what they're doing now. Probably crying every day.
Probably. They messed it
Um,
up.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, they probably made a lot of money, so they don't care. But anyway, yeah. So I knew it wasn't them. So because I knew that it was Ryan Condal. I knew who Ryan Condal was, and then Miguel Sapochnik was also the director for some of like the really good episodes of Game of Thrones. So I had high hopes just based on who they were. Ryan Condal is the like main showrunner, he will be going forward. They both were. But anyway, oops. So they what was I saying? I was saying I knew that he was like a big fan of George R. R. Martin and the books. So I had low expectations, but like kind of hopeful expectations. And I totally understand what you're saying about wanting more episodes. I'm kind of t- torn on that because on the one hand, I want more episode. I wanted more episodes to get to know people. And then on the other hand, I think if we would have had more episodes with the young actors, I think it would have been really difficult in the transition because it already was.
Yeah.
So I think if you would have had an entire season of the young actors, it would have been very jarring to go into like a season to that, if they did the time jump, a whole other season, the big time jump. I don't know. That would be because my issue with it, and they did cover 35 years
Right. And
basically. And
I feel like that's the problem, is that it was just like, pew. But to like, to answer your, to, what is it, debate your thing. I felt like the young actors, like Rhaenyra Young and Alice Young, like we could have aged them up quickly, but I felt really jarred by the children being aged up the way that they were. And I wish they could have been children for longer, because that was confusing for me, you
yeah,
know?
I agree on that. It was like Aegon was a baby, and then he was like the window whacking teenager, and then he was and and which I just, they're like, oh, we cut this and this for time. I'm like, but you kept that.
Yeah, great.
And
Thank you.
I understand it was to show that he just like kind of didn't care, but I don't know. Like I have issues with important things being cut for time when we left that in there. But anyway,
Right.
and then all of a sudden he's a few years older and looks totally different.
Right.
And that was one of the more jarring transitions, in my opinion, was kind of young teen Aegon to, and really all of the kids, really. I understand what you're saying with that. They were kind of all like little kids, and then they were all not little kids.
Right.
So,
And it was like, what? Okay. Anyway.
but that was
Anyway.
actually one of the questions I have written down, which was, who do you wish we would have seen more of? Or like what do you wish we would have seen more of? Because you kind of said the kids, like more of the kids, but
I Yeah, but also and I know it's based off of like hearsay, right, from the books. So it's like,
they have said that the books in the show are not like they're different canons. Not,
right,
you don't have to. It's they've already done things different. Like we can talk about that too. Laenor in
right.
the book died, like dead. People saw him not burned. It was a totally different death. He's dead. So
Dead.
that's a
Yeah.
big question mark, because
Agree.
it's actually really important, because he had a dragon, and dragons can only bond to one person.
This goes on, right? So now we have a dragon, a riderless dragon. Anyway, I wish that
For
we had
now, we
developed like,
do.
right. Alluding to, foreshadowing there. I wish I'd spent more time with Strong. Like I wish I'd learned more about Harwin Strong's
I
relationship
wrote
with
that down.
Rhaenyra.
I wrote
Okay.
that down. Said
Because
Harwin.
I was like, what is this? Like all of a sudden she's in this relationship with this dude, and like, who is he? We had like a little like a little hint, right, from the wedding.
I think
But
it wasn't even like a
yeah,
hint that something was gonna happen. It was just like reminding us of who he was. When
right.
his father was kind of like, go get the princess. And then in the next episode, we're like, oh, that's hard. And like I said, I mean, I read the books. I knew that was coming. It was implied there too that he was the father, but it was
It was
all very
jarring.
quick. And then like
Yeah.
it was their third
Child
child.
together. And it was like, and then Laenor was okay with it. It's just like, okay. Like there was
Well,
no like,
I mean, he was
I mean, I know he
gay.
was okay
So
with it. I know
yeah.
he's gay, but it was still like,
He had
this
his
is
man
really,
also.
I know, but it was like, I wish that we could have seen the relationship develop with Rhaenyra and Harwin, but also like
Or
a
even a
discussion,
piece of it, right? Like
just
even
something of like, oh, there's a budding romance going on here. And then Laner is like, hey, I'll keep your secret, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And like, it won't be a big deal, but it just felt like
yeah. It didn't
she's
have to
having a
be
baby, like, and her third one at that.
it didn't have to be to me, it didn't have to be this like long, it didn't have to be like an episode, like a Rainier and
Right.
Harwood, just a minute, like just a showing uh something like a flashback, like something would have been nice. And then I also feel, to me, that's one of the bigger tragedies is that, and I do feel like everything that's going to happen in this show is just a series of misunderstandings and things going wrong. But one of
Yeah.
the biggest, in my opinion, is the fact that Rhaenyra could have chosen Harwin. If she would have chosen back when her father said, "Fine, choose a man," and she was like, "I don't want a man," which is fine, but I mean, she
Right.
ended up, with Laenor, who that wasn't ever gonna work.
Never. Never,
So
ever.
but that's the thing, is that Harwin would have been a totally eligible guy. Like, he's the heir to Harrenhal. That's important. It wasn't like Kristen Cole, like somebody that when he was like, "Marry me," and she's like,
I
I
don't think
can't
so.
do that. But it's not like that with Harwin. Like, she could have married Harwin if she would have actually gone out and tried to choose a husband when she was given that opportunity. That's
Yep.
kind of one of the biggest tragedies, is that then she could have had her strong boys,
Right.
excuse my blasphemy, and and it would have been fine.
And nobody would have like I mean, Allison would still be ridiculous, but
I'm sure
like
she'd be
if
like, "My kids are better than yours
I
with
know,
the Targaryen
whatever.
features," but it wouldn't have mattered because
Right,
it
because
wouldn't have
now they're not
mattered.
illegitimate, right? So
Yes, yes.
mhm. Green thing right there.
It was me, not you, the whole
Oh
time.
my god.
I
So you were
started
talking about
recording. I started recording again so that I don't forget.
okay.
No, I meant to have this set as my microphone, and I had it set as my speaker. I don't think
Oh
it's a
geez.
speaker.
Yeah, that's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
You
All
you
right.
were
My
talking
bad.
about Daron, and
Yes.
I didn't even know that Daron existed. But I remember I did say that she was pregnant again.
You were, yeah. I made a video about this yesterday-ish.
Uh-huh.
I think you're the one that said something about like she was pregnant, but they didn't say anything about it. Well, in I think episode 9. I think it was episode 9, and it could have been 8 or 10. I don't want to say for sure. But I think it was episode 9 when they're doing like the opening credits and the bloodlines and everything. It does show 4 from Visera and Alicent. It does show 4. It has I think it's a tower for Daron.
Oh,
Little symbol.
because I remember seeing her pregnant with Aegon, and then she's pregnant with Aemon, and then she was pregnant with
I
Helena.
think Helena was the second, but yeah, I think it was
But then
Helena.
there was one more time where she was holding Helena and she was pregnant again.
Oh,
And I was like,
okay.
what happened to that baby? We never talked about him
See, I thought that was
because she had the two little ones with the whatever you call it, I guess the nurse,
oh,
and
okay.
she was
Yeah,
holding the baby.
I thought that was when she was pregnant with Aemon. But I probably, like I said, I need to rewatch it again because I wasn't.
We're talking about Allison, by the way.
Yes, Alicent.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't paying attention to that. I just noticed that Daron wasn't there and that he hadn't been cast so that he would not appear. But like I said, it was like episode 9, I think. They showed the 4 bloodlines, and he has a little tower in his because
Harry,
he's in
no,
Old Town.
Old Town.
He's in Old
Mhm.
Town with Otto Hightower's brother, Hobart Hightower, who was earlier in the show. He was there. So that's where he is. And in the video, I mean, I'm not going to go into it like super detailed, but in the video that I made yesterday, I was saying that might have been just another reason that Rhaenys didn't blow everybody up, because there still was a child of Viserys and Alicent alive, and a very powerful family, the Hightowers, because Otto Hightower, yes, he's the hand of the king, but he's the second son. He's not the one who's, you know, it's his brother who's like their family, whatever, the oldest. And he has Daron, who is their youngest son.
That's right.
And he's
That's
probably,
right.
I don't know how old he would be, like 10 or 12. I'm that's a guess. I don't know.
I have no idea.
He's
Well,
young.
if she was pregnant with, if Alicent was pregnant with him and she was still holding
Maybe
Helena,
old. He might be older than that. He might be older than that.
yeah. But they never talked about that baby, and that's where I got confused. I mean, but I didn't notice that.
But
That
that,
what
I
you're
guess,
talking
if we kind of circle back super quickly to what I wish I would have seen, it's not that I wish I would have seen it. It's that I wish they would have been like, oh, something about Daron. They didn't even have to show the birth. They didn't have to show him itself.
about.
Just
Right.
alluded to him in some way. It's weird that they didn't, and they're like, oh, it's for time. But then,
But
like
now
you
for
said,
people like me who haven't read the books or anything, all of a sudden he's going to appear in season 2 probably, and we're going to be like, who's this guy? You know?
the way that they're gonna have to do that is they're gonna have to explain it. You would
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
You would
Right.
think they're gonna have to explain it. Let's go on to another question because I know you have to leave in a little bit. Who do you think the best portrayal of their character from an actor was? Not your favorite character, not your
Mhm.
favorite actor, but who do you think portrayed their character the best? And there's a lot of good ones, so there's no wrong answer.
I know that's hard. I'm a little bit biased, but I really think that Matt Smith did a good job with Damon. And I only say that because for the first like I don't before he killed his wife. Was she a Tully? I can't remember. She wasn't a Tully.
She
Was
was a
she from
Royce.
an
So
alley?
she was a
A
Royce.
Royce.
So they're from the Vale, and there was a Royce in Game of Thrones, Jon Royce. He had, you remember Lysa Arryn's son, Robin,
Right. That's right.
or
Yes.
whatever. I can't remember what they called him in the show.
Yeah. It was Robin. It was Robin. Yeah.
Yeah, he was
But
like
I
kind
felt
of,
like
yeah. So she was a
up
Royce.
until that point, yeah. Like I felt like he was out to get the crown. And I was convinced that he was the villain of the series. And I was like, he's gonna do something really bad because now he's killed his wife. And I was just really convinced he was not a good person. Like I'm not saying that he is. He's probably morally
He's a gray
gray.
person.
Yeah.
He's a gray person, just like
Yeah.
damn near everybody else.
Right. Right. Nobody's really good in that show.
Hey,
But
that is a question that we're gonna get to.
okay.
Maybe.
But I felt like he was like, oh wow, I'm really buying into like he's a terrible person and he's just doing anything he can to get the crown. And like all the stuff that he kind of did to like mildly seduce Rhaenyra up until that point that he killed his wife, Rhea Royce, I think that was
Royce. Mm-hmm.
her. But after he killed her and got married to Lena, then I wouldn't say his personality shifted, but something shifted in him. And then I was like,
They
all
cut a
right.
lot of scenes of Damon being a good guy. They did. There
Yeah.
are a lot of like
Yeah.
comforting his daughters after their mother died, and like there were a lot of things. And then, in the final episode, people were kind of like, he choked Rhaenyra, he's so bad. I'm like, did you think he was good? He's angry.
I mean,
He literally beat the messenger. Remember earlier in the season?
yeah,
That's
I
a
do
whole
remember.
phrase. He literally did it. And he killed his wife. Like, why were we thinking? Like, yes, he
Why
has
would
his
he
good
turn to a
moments.
good person? Right.
Yeah. Okay, so that's not a bad answer. I know you're biased. Oh my goodness.
I
The
am.
lighting in here, I should have set up my light because the lighting in here keeps changing because it's about to rain.
I know you like Amen for his more like grayness.
I like I think that Aemon, hang on, I'm gonna sit down so I'm not like I think that Aemon and Damon have a lot of similarities, but for the best actor portrayal, I'm gonna go with Patty Considine by Viserys, because he
Yeah.
had to play a dude that was falling apart
Right.
over this progression,
Jeez.
and he did so well making you believe it. And yes, like special effects and all that, and that was amazing, but his just deterioration was so good and so bad.
At this all at the same time. Yeah. Oh my
So
gosh.
that
Yeah.
he was my favorite just for that. And I mean, he's gone. He's
I
he's
know.
dead. So So if I had to pick someone who was still alive, I don't know. I didn't think about that. But yeah, I hope that he wins all the awards because I think that his
I do.
portrayal, and when he died, I was so sad. It's not like I didn't know it was coming. I mean, even if you didn't have to read the book to know he
He
didn't
was
have
going
half
to. I
his
mean,
face.
I knew he was going to die from the first second he got cut on the Iron Throne. I was like, well, he's dead.
He's gone. Okay,
He's dead in my eyes.
since we kind of already touched on it, why don't we just go to my next written down question? Is anybody good? Is anybody good? Are there any
So
good characters?
I always screw up Rhaenyra's kids' names, and it's the younger son that I want to talk. The middle son I want to say.
The dead one,
Yes,
Lucerys.
I feel like he would have been good if he hadn't gotten chopped up by a dragon.
If he hadn't gotten chomped by Vagar, that's true.
Yes, yes.
I
And I'm sorry, I only say that because I felt like he was so scared of the
he was
responsibility, right?
honest, which
He
I
was
think is
honest.
important. And he was kind of like, I'm not actually a Valerian. Like, I identified with his getting seasick because I did too.
I know, poor guy.
I'm like, oh, I couldn't be the king of the seas either.
Yeah, like, can my navy do it for me? Like, I don't want to do it, but
Yeah, like I will fly my dragon over the boats.
exactly. And I felt like he
Also,
could have made it.
I
Like,
think
if
he
he
could
would
have
have been.
been a good guy. Yeah.
And my other person I was thinking of is Lena. I thought for the most part she was a good person,
I think
and then
it
she
seemed
died.
like she was a very good mother, which
Yeah,
was rare. Not that I think that Rhaenyra is a terrible mother. It doesn't show it much, but like her kids seem to be decent kids who, I mean, she's teaching them, she's making sure they learn um Valyrian and I mean, I don't think she's bad. I'm not saying she's good. And then there's Alicent, who's obviously like a terrible parent. And most of the moms
yeah.
have died. Oh, Rhaenys, I think, is a good parent.
Oh yeah, a good parent, a good character. I don't know about that. That's questionable. But
Yeah. I don't, because I don't necessarily think that Rhaenys is a good character either, or like a good person. But I think she's better than most. I think that Lionel Strong was a good person, also dead.
there seems to be a pattern here.
He seemed to make his decisions with everyone's best interest in mind. Like he didn't put, there was I don't remember what episode it was, but there was a kind of thing when he was talking about, oh, I know who we should marry Rhaenyra to, and he was talking about Laenor, and then they were like, they said, I think it was Viserys said something about like, oh, because they thought he meant Harwin, but he wasn't acting in his own interests. He was acting in like the interest of the realm, which is what a hand should do. So I do think he was a good person. I mean, his son Larys is pretty questionable. I mean, he killed him. But Harwin seemed like he was a good dad under the circumstances. So maybe he learned how to be a good dad from Lionel. We will never know because they are dead. And you're right, Lena.
Well, I mean, a lot of Strongs are dead. So,
all except for Larys.
Wait, no, don't they have a third Strong? The youngest son. No, I'm sorry, Rhaenyra's strong voice. Sorry.
Oh, I meant
yeah, the real
I meant like Lionel and then his sons.
Right.
Okay, yes. Yes. Okay, yeah.
I don't.
So Jacaerys is alive. He's, presumably on his way to Winterfell. He's also going to go to like White Harbor and the Eyrie. Like hopefully we'll see those stops. I don't know, in season 2.
Season 2. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you look at a map, you'll see how much closer from Dragonstone Storm's End, because Storm's End is like south, and then these other places are like way north. Well, especially Winterfell.
Yeah, of course.
so she sent him to the safer place. Rhaenyra sent, I should be saying who I'm talking about, but Rhaenyra sent Luke to what she presumed would be the safer option. She just
but
didn't
she
know
didn't know that
Vagar would
Damon
be
was gonna
there at
be
the
there,
end.
right.
Yeah. Yes.
Can I just say, like, I typed to Ivy and I was like, I'm gonna voice message her about this situation. And when that happened, because you knew it was coming, I didn't know it was coming, and I was so heartbroken when I heard about it. When I saw that scene happen, I was just like, no, Luke.
I knew it was coming and I was like, and I watched it. Is that the one that I watched? Yes. That's the one that I
When
watched
you were
on
in
the
Mexico?
plane. No, on
Yeah.
the plane because my flight left at 8:05 and it, because I have HBO Max. I watched it on my phone. I was like
Aw.
at the airport, like, please download. And I don't know if I messaged you or not. No, I think I posted on Instagram. I was like, I can't watch it. It won't download. Like, what am I gonna do? Because I wasn't getting to Tampa until like 11:30 Eastern time. Like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
watch it that late. But I got it to download. I watched it on my phone. So I'm on an airplane, like trying to it was so bad.
I know.
I did
Ugh.
I did have to rewatch it because watching on a tiny screen, you're gonna miss some stuff. But when I saw the scene where Vagar was over, I think it was over
Yeah, over. Yep.
Arax.
Mhm. Ugh. He looks like a baby compared to her.
Well, he is a baby. She's
I mean, I
old.
know, but
Arax is probably, I mean, the same age as Luke, so 14. And
mm,
Vagar is like, I don't know, well over 100.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Ugh,
very old.
that's like a talk about a heart-wrenching scene. Like,
It
and
really
I felt
was.
it because we're both mothers. So it was
Yeah.
also like, oh, Rhaenyra, like, I get you. Like, I can feel that, like, in my gut of how, like, I would burn all of like Westeros down to the ground. Like, it would all be gone. I'd be like, Allison,
But you
every
could
single
see a
one of your
change
kids is
in
gonna die.
her,
Yeah,
and I think
yeah.
we'll see that. Do
And
you
she knows what's
have
happening, so I don't know what's coming.
I
I
would
mean, I know
imagine
it's
that we
coming,
will.
but yeah.
Did you have a favorite episode, or it doesn't have to be episode, like a favorite moment? Is there something that stands out to you in the show?
This is gonna sound so weird. Um, okay, so it's the scene where Rhaenyra is just got done giving birth, and she's like walking up the steps to talk to Allison, and that I can feel that because I've given birth to a baby, but that scene for me like defined Rhaenyra and Allison's relationship like to a
Yeah.
T.
It made
Like it was
Rhaenyra a real badass because she's like, no, I'm not
yeah,
going to give her the satisfaction of like, yes, that would
resting
no.
in bed after I just pushed out a watermelon. Like
That was yeah, that was really good. I liked that too. I mean, I liked it, but I didn't like it, but I really liked the little dragon battle over Storm's End because I didn't like it, but I mean, House of the Dragon should really be about dragons. I feel
dragon.
like
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, especially toward the end, I mean, the dire wolves just weren't the same. It just lost a lot of the like the parts that made it so good in the beginning. Like you never saw ghosts. It was just like we should be seeing dragons on
Right.
House of the Dragon. And they're again, this is I will do some spoiler stuff, but not with you. There will be more dragon battles. I don't think that's a spoiler.
Well, I hope not.
we can we
The show
can
is called House of
assume
Dragons, so
we can assume.
yeah.
But I thought I really liked just the visual of Vagar over Arax. I thought that
It
was
was
good.
pretty powerful. It was pretty amazing.
And then do you have a favorite character? It doesn't have to be for any reason. It can be Damon again.
No, I don't know how I feel about Rhaenyra as an adult, but I really liked her as a child.
Hmm.
But if I have to like be pulled into a direction of like someone that I really, really like, I feel like I like Rhaenyra a lot.
Oh, Rainey's.
Rhaenys, there we go.
Yes,
Yes.
I like her
Um,
too.
and I think it's because she is a badass, like in her own way. And there's something about her that says, like, I'm going to burn this kingdom down. Like, and we just don't know. I've just like there's something about her that's like very mysterious to me. It makes me go, I can very much relate to her as a mother, and then also as like, a woman being
Yeah,
stigmatized for being a woman. Like,
yeah, I like her too. I don't
and I
know. I
always get
like.
everybody's names wrong all the time. I know who I'm talking about in my head,
I
but like
think
I
most people do. We need
yeah.
like little like sticks, like popsicle sticks with their pictures on it. You just
Yeah.
hold it up.
It
This
should be
one,
like a little thing that
it's
comes up every time, like Rainey's, Allison.
it's it's hard because there's so many similar names. I think if you haven't read the books or if you're not just like a really big fan of just the work in
Yeah.
general of George R. R. Martin, it would be very hard to because even sometimes I'm like, oh, that guy, like it's not easy. I think that was the biggest complaint for a lot of people about the show was the names. It wasn't for me because I'm like, these are the Targaryens are very interbred. And so and they all a lot of them have like, Targaryen sounding names. And so they're kind of
Right.
similar. Um, but did you what is your break on that note, what is your biggest critique of the show?
Oh no, I don't want to bring race into it, but that's my biggest. I, as a person of color, it matters, right? And it felt like it was just ping ponging everywhere with like, first here's Lena and she's this color, and Lena is this color, and it doesn't matter that the siblings aren't like the same tone of melanin, but
Yes.
then when they grew up, they changed their
We've
tone.
talked about this.
We
Yeah,
have, yeah.
yes.
And then
Like,
they did it again, and like she kept progressively both, well, Lena in particular got darker. And I don't have a problem if they just kept it across the board as the same tone, but she kept changing, and I was just like, okay, I'll accept
yeah,
it.
it was and actually one of my biggest critiques is similar. It's kind of on the same note. It's not that
And the wig.
specifically, but it's similar because you're right. It was weird to see like these actresses looking completely and maybe they thought, "Oh, I can pop a blonde, silver wig on them." But you're right, their skin color changed, and that wouldn't happen.
Not
So,
like
that
that.
was yeah, not like that, not just so extreme. It's not like, "Oh, you have been vacationing
Right.
in
No.
Dorne," or something, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I wouldn't have like, it wouldn't have bothered, like, it wouldn't bother me if their facial features didn't look similar. It was just like such a drastic change when we got to the final Lena. And I was like, this is not
Yes, because Child
lighting.
Lena was much lighter, and then her daughters, when they were the young
Yeah.
actresses were very dark,
Which
and
is
that didn't make
confusing.
yeah, much darker than Lena was as a child, but then
And
they
to
all
have a light, like Damon is their father, right? So he's light
yes.
skinned white guy. So it's just like, I know that genetics are amazing and they do all kinds of funny things, but still the daughters wouldn't have been darker necessarily than their mother.
Well, especially they also had a light-skinned grandmother. I mean,
Right.
it was
So they
yeah.
should have been like, I know I'm not going to show my children on the internet, but my children are like a quarter black as well. So like they don't look black at all. Like they look Asian as heck. Like
Mhm.
that's the bottom
Yeah, they
line.
should have
It's
yes.
like they're lighter than me. So they're only a quarter. So they should be, representation absolutely matters. And they could have found lighter skin in that case because of what they were going with for the show, actresses, and someone to do their wigs properly because everybody's wigs were god awful.
Yes.
I don't know what happened.
Um,
Like, and then some of them too, I was like, did somebody just get yarn and put it on their hair? Like someone could have given them better wigs. It feels I don't know. It feels like the costume department got really lazy.
Yeah. And I mean, they had a lot to do, but still. And
Right.
I think my issue with like one of my biggest issues is, or my biggest critique, I guess, is similar to that. It's that we had three Lenas and we had three Lanors, and we only had
Yeah.
two Rainier and Allisons. And I feel like that kind of exasperated your issue. Like if there wouldn't have been three, it wouldn't have been so obvious. It would have been like, oh well, she's a little darker, but it would have only been one time. Like I don't understand why they needed three actors for both of them. I thought that was an odd choice.
Yeah.
Because I before, and I think we talked about this before the show even came on, we talked about the fact that it was going to be really interesting going from, or maybe in the beginning of the show, going from these young actors and actresses to the older ones. And it was, I feel like they overall did a really good job, because it's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
But at the
I
same
agree.
time, I think it would have been better if they would have had one young Lena and Lenore and one older
And one
one,
adult. Yeah.
because I think that added to the issue. Because again, you're trying to match skin tones for three people, and they clearly didn't do a very good job of that. But I just thought it was weird because we saw the middle Lena, we saw her for like 5 minutes. Why did it need to be?
If that.
Yeah,
Like, why
why
did
did
you
it
cast
need to
her?
be her?
Right.
So, but I don't have a lot of, I don't
But do I
have
love the choice that they did for the is it how do you say is it Sir Corlys family? Like is it Valerians? Is that the right
or
word?
well, so George R. R. Martin has said you can say it how you want, because everybody's going
Okay.
to say things differently. But it's not. It was, some people are saying like Valeri, because Valyrian, like they're from Valyria, and
Ah,
that's where their name is based off it. But their name is not Valyrian; it's Valarion,
okay.
or or
I
something
love
or something. That's the way that I say it. But
right.
and I've heard other people say it that way, and I've heard other people say it almost where it sounds like Valyrian, but it's got an O at the end of it. It's
I
Valarion.
like the choice that they did though to choose to cast the actor that they did for Sir Corlys, and to choose to add people of color more so to the show. Like I do like that choice, and I hope that we see more of that in the show
Well,
than what we did
I
telling
think that we
more.
I think that because it's like a show that's kind of more about the Targaryens, it is different than Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones went over to like Essos, and it's more, diverse over there. But I think I like how they did that, because it made it way more obvious that like
But those are
those
not Laenor's.
those are, well, and then also another change that is similar is that in the books, because Rhaenys is half Baratheon. No, not Baratheon. That's yes, Baratheon.
Baratheon.
Yes.
So should she?
And as you know from Game of Thrones, Baratheons have dark hair, except for the ones
Yeah.
that aren't. Um, and so
Hmm.
in her in her in the book, she had dark hair. And so if she would have had dark hair, and Corlys would have been white with, Valyrian features like the light hair and whatever, it would not have been as obvious that they weren't her children,
Right.
or that they weren't Laenor's children, because it could have been like, oh, well, their skin color is the same as both of their parents, but also they got their hair from, Grandma Rainey's.
Right. Exactly. Which
So
happens. Genetics.
yeah, but I liked that it was really obvious, that everybody was just going around pretending like it
It wasn't like
wasn't.
that.
But um so yeah, as far as, but like generally speaking, as far as critiques, it did move quickly.
Yeah.
I think it had to. I think it had to get because the real Dance of the Dragons is just starting. And I think that everybody that says, oh, it was, and I do agree, I wish we would have seen more of certain things. I really do. But I think that once, because we probably have 3 more seasons based on at least what George R. R. Martin would like. He'd like 4 seasons, and he is giving his input on this. I think that by the time we get into the second, third season, it'll be okay, because we're really in the in the war.
I'm excited to see it.
But did you what was the best, like the best part of it for you? And maybe that was what you were saying about like Corliss and their choice there. But if not, what do you think was the best part of it?
I think that was the best part of it, was bringing in diversity to a show that was starkly not filled with diversity. Let's, we can argue that point till we're blue in the face, but like, it was like, that was nice. You made it natural. I mean, they made it natural to have
I think
these
they did
characters,
too. I think
you
they made
know,
it. I think they made it natural because, and I would have understood. I mean, because I think it would have been a complaint that people would have had if they wouldn't have. But we were mostly in like one place, and
right.
when you're talking about, obvious. I mean, they have dragons, yes, but there's no like air travel.
Oh my gosh. I
I
gotta go.
also, oh, you gotta go. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, we went through all of my questions. So thank you for doing this. We'll have to do it again with
Yes,
more questions.
100%. Yeah.
Feel free to come up with some next time.
I will for sure for our next one. I wasn't prepared this time, but next time.
Oh, I did this 12 hours, not even 12 hours ago. Well, all right. Well, thank you and have fun. And we will do this again soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye.
Bye.